We've been told to be grateful about the things that we do have and not obsess too much about those that we don't. But when a doctor diagnoses you and tells you you've got 3 months to live, and then you prove him wrong and spend 14 years of your life without kidneys, can you still find something to be grateful for? Let's find out as we live out loud with Emmanuel Gitau next. Hello and welcome to Sheila Lives Out Loud. We're so glad that you've stopped by this channel. Remember to click on subscribe and hit notifications so you never miss out on a show. And we are at the glorious Westwood Hotel, joined by a wonderful man, Emmanuel Gitau. Good day to you, good sir.
Good day.
You're happy?
I'm well.
Thank you so much for making the time. Now,
Thank
as we kick off this amazing story, because you're going to teach us the art of gratitude, by the time we're done talking, we're going to find things in our lives to be grateful for.
True.
But how would you describe yourself in a nutshell? A few words, 140 characters or less. Who is Emmanuel Gitau?
Emmanuel Gitau. I'm from Kiambu County, 33 years of age, and have been suffering from renal failure for the last 14 years. Done 14 major operations, done 3 transplants, all failing, and I'm still optimistic, and I thank God for my life.
You know how you summed it up? There's space for a smiley face or two in that description. But it wasn't always like this for you.
True.
You were living a healthy life, you had big plans, big goals, big dreams. When did things change? Take us back to that beginning.
Well, ever since I came to know myself, my younger years, I've been on and off hospital. But in 2001, that's when I had my duodenal ulcer operation at Kijabi Hospital. And at a span of 7 months, I was at great peace, only to get this renal failure, thinking that it will go maybe a day or two.
Okay, was this as a result of the surgery or was it something that was in the pipeline? It was going to happen anyway.
It was going to happen according to the doctors because of the many medications I have taken. And at that time I had low blood count, being given 11 pints of blood because of the bleeding ulcer. So eventually the pressures went up and messing up the kidneys.
So you had ulcers. As a teenager, it began with ulcers.
True.
And you were on the medication and
Yes.
one thing led to another. It started with your first surgery.
True.
After that, then your kidney said...
And that's it.
So what happened then?
Can imagine all my youth have been with this
Sickly.
condition, hospitalized every time. And I started my dialysis. They told me that it's the only way out. And eventually they told us transplantation, is the best option. And our family, they took it positively and they decided to help. And truly, my dad was the first donor after getting assistance from friends and family, because of the ticket and the
it was not
and
done
the
in
fee.
Kenya? Where
It was in
done?
India. So I did the first transplant, and it was hectic because, within hours the kidney failed. I got high-grade fever, but eventually the kidney just failed. They tried to resuscitate it to an extent that the veins inside burst, and they had to remove it, nephrectomy, immediately because of the...
It was
yeah,
bad.
it just rejected. It was even rotting inside my body and also swelling. So my brother was the second donor, and he came from Kenya to India. And the same thing happened, again fever, but at least it worked after resuscitation, but only to last for 7 months, something I didn't know, but later came to know that the doctors knew it wouldn't work for long. But I was happy, at least at that time I was urinating, because you can imagine 14 years without urinating. I never pass any urine. That's why I tell people.
In 14 years?
Yes, 14 years. I've been, paying to urinate. Something, to it's a done deal. You go to the ladies and that's it.
So dialysis is how you get rid of that waste material from your body,
Very
because physically it doesn't happen for you.
it doesn't happen for me. So that's why I tell people, there's nothing kawaida, that there's nothing, happens.
Just
God
like
knows.
that.
Yeah, God
Every
knows everything.
piece of your body is working for something. So
Very true.
don't take it for granted.
At all, at all, at all. I tell people that.
Okay.
So it happened, and at least after many resuscitations, because I went to India alone, trying to, the same kidney had issues, but eventually it failed again. So they gave us a third option, and my sister gave me the kidney. And it worked so well for a month. But I started swelling again. I started getting, some funny conditions. And that's why they told me I have to go back to India to check what was happening. They tried to resuscitate the kidney, it failed again. And at that time, I was totally worn out to an extent that the doctors were telling me I have 3 months to live. And now it's 9 years down the line from 2007. And I still thank God because at least I'm alive.
Yes, you are. And ultimately, the only one who decides whether we're still living and breathing is God.
Yeah.
The doctors can tell us what they think, but
True,
the
true.
ultimate authority is the one who gives the life in the first place.
That's what I told the doctors. It's God who knows my fate, and true, He knows my fate.
Would you say that this experience brought you closer to God, or was it the kind of experience that told you there is one who's bigger than you?
I usually say everything is a lesson, and this is a great one because you can imagine the many sufferings, and pain, a lot of pain because you can imagine the operations, the 14 operations, and it brought me closer to God. It was like a retreat. I was tall. I wasn't like this. The deformity came much later. I was big. I didn't have this painful hunchback. My bones, they were even, they were telling me they were so fragile to an extent that it can break at any time. So and there's a time I was even using crutches, telling me I'll use a wheelchair if at all they don't remove the parathyroids, which at that time they were very hyper, and in 2013. So I had to go for another operation 2013, now the final one, whereby they removed the parathyroids because they were very hyper, deforming my body.
Yeah.
So at least according to them, they're saying that the deformity is lessening, but it's not over. But at least the pain, it's manageable
You're not
now.
in
It's
that kind
better.
of pain.
Yeah, it's better because I was not able to sleep for long hours. At least now I can, despite having issues still. I could not even sit for long hours. At least I can a little bit, and also walk for long distances. At least now I can make strides, right?
You can do a lot more now.
But at least I'm also happy. I'm not using crutches, but the pain is still there.
Right.
But what to say? Because I don't know up to where I'll deform. I don't know. Now I'm like this. They're saying it's still gradually going on. But just leave it to God.
In talking about the support that you've had from family, they've gone over and above and beyond, even donating kidneys. Sadly, that didn't help and work for you.
Sure.
But when you were diagnosed and in living the life that you've been living over the 14 years, what's your relationship with your family like?
Our family, we are very close to each other. You can imagine all of them giving me their kidneys. Not only their kidney, financially supporting me in everything, emotionally too. They are always asking how I am. And, I tend not to ground so much because, usually I see to an extent they are affected, especially my mom, but all of them really are usually affected. Being raised in a Christian family, at least we understand that some sufferings, they bring us closer to God, and everything happens with a reason. Like in the book of Job, it says that God is the one who heals and injures. He's the one who injures and heals at his own convenient time. So we never complain, and they're usually there for me. And I'm grateful to God.
Okay. In talking about the book of Job, we
Sure.
understand that is the book of afflictions.
Sure.
Because it's chapter upon chapter of hardship after hardship after hardship. In looking at the relationship that you have with God now,
Yes.
before you got to where you were now, there must have been a lot of struggle,
True.
a lot of questioning, and a lot of anger. How did you get past that to accept the new normal?
Very true. As I say, God is everything to me and to us as a family. And there's something I came to understand, that when you accept everything and say that it's God's will, everything is under God's will. And despite, even if you get an accident or anything, just take it positively at first, because positive thinking will lead you to godliness. When you take things negatively, always it will lead you to the evil one, and he will stir you to negativity always. But when you take it positively, despite having this condition, people say that new chawi or something, it's witchcraft, which is not the case.
And that's what happens when we see things happen and we can't explain it.
Yeah, very
So
true.
we resort to default settings, ni uchawi.
Yeah, because people they tend to not to to persevere from what is happening, and by not accepting God really, because in the same book of Job it says that Satan usually asks for permission for anything that happens to us, any temptation that comes, and it's either he's allowed or not. And that's why you are told to pray much to avoid temptation. But when it comes, how do you take it? When you take it positively, you'll get the grace to persevere despite the magnitude, right? And also God gives you friends who will be there for you, and the family initially. And that's why I'm telling you, when you take it negatively, you live and die soon.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it will harass you mentally. Socially, you'll see that you are hated. You'll even tend to see that God has forsaken you, which is not true, obviously. And eventually going to funny people trying
Seek
to get to
solutions.
seek solution, which at the end of the day will still go back to God, who will obviously help you. So the best thing is just take everything positive.
Okay.
Yes.
In talking about taking everything positive, you wrote a book.
Yes.
And here it is. It's called Emmanuel, Life Without Kidneys.
Yes.
Why did you write this book? I mean, it's difficult enough living through this
Yeah, true,
challenge,
true, true.
but now to go through it and write about it and be honest about your every experience in this book.
Yeah.
Why was it so important for you to do this?
Well, I've always prayed to God that people may know about these, illnesses, because people are so ignorant. And a friend of mine, I met a friend, the author of the book, by the name Dr. Stephen Kimotho. We were just tenants at Ruiru. He used to see me going for dialysis wee hours in the morning at 3 a.m. because of, queues in Kenyatta. So he was like bothered and asking, hey, why at this time? So one day he asked me, and I had to tell him about my condition. And he said he'll not just ask, he'll take another step and take me for dialysis, which he did for for a month or so. And that time it touched him so much, to an extent that he said that being an author, I'll write a book to let people know about this issue, and in a way to support me with my
With finding funding
exactly
for paying for the
for the
treatment.
funding. So to him, instead of begging and the many harambes, yeah, so he thought of writing the book, and it was like a dream come true, because this something I desired so much. By people knowing my life, I don't need just, I hate sympathy, but I want them to sympathize in themselves, because you can get to this point, you see, because if at all you don't take care of yourself, and we are told that prevention is better than cure,
Yeah.
you see.
But I think even in you mentioning prevention, I don't believe that you purposely set out to get in trouble later on in life. I think there's certain things that just come simply because you're following instructions.
Yeah,
You're
very
trying to find cures for different things, and the body just doesn't.
Yeah.
So no matter what happens, it's good to take care of yourself.
True.
But I don't believe you sit in your house ever thinking, I wish I hadn't done this, or I wish I hadn't done this. I'm sure some of the things that have happened were completely out of your
Yeah,
hands.
very true. That one I
In fact,
accept.
most of the reason why you're here today was out of your hands.
Yes,
I think
it
God
was,
just needed a living testimony of The
Yeah.
strangest things can happen,
Yes.
but you have to keep going.
Yeah, very true. What you have said is true, and I know God knows everything. But I also tell people, I told you people are ignorant. We are told to drink 8 glasses of water in a day. Like now I can challenge you. Maybe yesterday, the whole of yesterday, how many glasses
I
did you
actually
take?
had 3 liters. I drink a lot of
You
water.
take, okay. Well,
Yes.
for you, others, they take only 2 glasses, which I'm authorized to take only 2 glasses
Yeah.
because, I don't pass any urine. I'll swell, right?
Yeah.
But you tend to see a normal person, a healthy person, supposed to take 1.5 liters in a day, ignoring that factor. Eventually,
There will be problems.
there will be
You're
problems
not
because,
helping your body and you
yeah.
want it to fuel you and run like a machine.
Imagine, you'll get issues like diabetes because of the unhealthy lifestyle we are. And that's why I motivate people and tell them it's important, though you'll use money like 200 shillings in a government hospital, you'll go meet a nutritionist and you'll be advised on the food to take, you see. And after every 6 months, it's good you go for medical checkup. Yes, you'll use money, but some conditions like diabetes and blood pressure, if detected early and it's something hidden, they can
You
avoid
can
such.
manage,
Yes, you can
exactly.
manage it, and maybe
Save yourself
you
some
have,
of the
yeah,
heartache and the
can imagine
surgeries and procedures.
paying to urinate.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing.
Paulus, I don't even want to imagine what you go through.
True.
But I want to talk about the future because you've spent most of your young adult life in a hospital
Yes.
with procedures being done to you. And at your age, guys are dating, guys are finding love, guys are settling down. What is that area like for you? If I'm prying, just tell me, Sheila, please. I'm prying a little bit, but I just want to know about that area because we're all human beings and we need love. So what's that like for you?
Well, true. Everyone needs love. And I had a very caring and, loving girlfriend some time back. The relationship sprouted from somewhere you cannot even imagine, from hospital. She used to bring her own mother, and that's where we met. So she knew my weaknesses, and she was, at that time I was tall, I was handsome, right? She knew my condition, and yet she was comfortable with it. Her mother died, and eventually it's like I had to hold.
For her to sort herself out
Yeah, very
because
true.
grief is also a crazy
Yeah,
thing.
very true.
Yeah.
So, one thing led to another, and we had to separate. And I decided that I'll stay like that and do God's work. At that time, I was still strong. I had not deformed. I said I'll tend to preach this good news even before the book came. And well, what to say?
Every day is a journey. You
It is a
walk by
journey.
faith.
Yeah, true.
And if God says, this one I'm setting apart for my work, then you accept it
Yeah, very
and you
true.
find joy in
Yeah,
it.
very true.
And so let's look at the future. What do you see? Because I know in the next few minutes you've
Yes.
got to run for dialysis.
Yes.
But what would you like to see happen?
Well, I've always prayed and I believe, and it's not just in vain, I believe I'll get healed one day. I tell the doctors that, they say, Emmanuel, that's a dream. Dialysis, chronic renal failure, one cannot get healed. But I tell them, hey, you're the same people who gave me 3 months to live. Now it's 9 years down the line. So they tend to keep quiet. But I believe I'll get healed if God's will be done. You can imagine the book of Ezekiel, dry bones coming to life, right? These are only kidneys, and the story of Lazarus. My mother usually, tend to tell me that story oftenly, to encourage me, and I'm happy about it. But it all depends with the will of God. I believe He can do it. The future is bright for me, I know that. I'm a caterer, and I tend to make snacks. I make some crisps and peanuts, even despite not able to cook. I can use my mind. I have trained someone, and she's doing it.
Right.
And also, tomorrow is God's. He usually tells us that we don't think of tomorrow so much because he sorts us out.
Yeah.
And that is very true. Despite, the 14 years of dialysis, only 4 years was paid for me through my parents. The rest of the 10 years was hustle. But I have many friends never gone to borrow money for dialysis because it's something.
God provides.
Yes, I've ever felt, going and it's like begging, right? I have never done that. It's only at least funds for Harambe asked for the fundraising. I had to because
It was the beginning.
yes,
It was a
but
start. Yes.
but God is God, and I knew He will sort me out. He cannot give us a cross that we are not able to handle.
Yeah.
So I know even if I don't get dialysis that day, the following day I'll get it.
Something is
Despite,
coming.
yeah, it is always. That's why it's called a breakthrough. It's usually hard, but eventually,
You do break through.
true, I break through.
Excellent. Where is this book available? Because we must close now.
Yes.
Where can we pick up the book? Because we want to walk with you. And I know there are people who are watching and are thinking, that's the guy. This is the one I'm supposed to walk with.
Yeah, true.
Where can we find it?
The book is available at Holy Family Catholic Church, Basilica, at the youth shop just outside. Also available at Kenya Cinema, at the Good Shepherd bookshop. And maybe you can, through my contacts, can also get the book.
And we can share those. Are you on digital spaces? I think you are. What we can do is we can share those contacts so that anybody who's looking to hear your story some more can listen to it up close and personal.
Very
and
true.
also, of course, pick up a copy of the book.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you so much. I could keep you here all day, but I need you to go for your session.
Sure.
And I'm grateful that you've been such a great guest.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you. But the doors to Living Out Loud remain open for you.
Thank you.
Even to just help us with tea and such like things. But
Thank you.
thank you for stopping by this channel. We are going to post links to connect with Emmanuel on my social media sites, so the conversation continues there. And yes, you will also know where you can pick up a copy of Emmanuel's book. It's called Emmanuel, Life Without Kidneys. Yes, be sure to pick up a copy for yourself and for a friend. And we are at Westwood Hotel, calling it a day. Remember, in everything and in anything that you do, be grateful and live out loud. Bye for now.